I was talking to my brother the other day. He lives in Covington, Louisiana, and was telling me about the floods that hit that area a year ago. 18 feet of water rose out of the river, flooding countless homes and the campus where he works. The one-year anniversary is coming up, he said, so of course we're getting ready for our first flood party. Flood party, I thought. Flood party. Yes, flood party. It took my brain a minute, but I remember that in Louisiana, this type of celebration happens all the time. People taking harmful, difficult situations and using them as an opportunity to celebrate, or what poet Eric Shurank likes to call, from harm into harmony. It's everywhere in the culture. It's in the food. It's in the music. In 2005, when Hurricanes Katrina and Rita devastated the Gulf Coast, you could not stop the Mardi Gras celebrations. In fact, people that lost their homes used it as an opportunity to brutally satire the politicians and government organizations that didn't show up when they should have. You can see this in the New Orleans jazz funerals. Yes, jazz funerals, if you haven't heard of them. Pallbearers in mostly African-American neighborhoods carry caskets with the departed alongside a brass band. The music usually starts with something slow, like a gospel tune of Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Then at some point, the tempo picks up. People start dancing. And the act of movement and celebration becomes an act of healing. All the peoples that settle in South Louisiana have some sort of oppression to contend with and some sort of creative survival tools that they have learned in order to process them. African, Irish, Cajun, Vietnamese, and many, many other peoples have all had slavery, displacement, genocide, and they've all held on to some essential aspects of their humanity and used it to process grief. My peoples, the Cajun or Acadian peoples, are French heritage people who settled in Nova Scotia, became political exiles around 250 years ago, and the ones that weren't killed managed to settle in the East Coast and then down to French-friendly Louisiana. They had to learn these creative survival tools. Those creative survival tools were tested for me most personally in 2010 when the BP oil spill hit my hometown. I was living in Louisiana that summer when 4.9 million barrels of tar and oil flowed from a broken well into the Gulf in the largest man-made disaster in history. Workers died, 11 workers died. BP decided to cover up the problem, they were going to release toxic chemicals into the water, cleverly rebranded dispersants. Millions of animals died. People were sick from the chemicals. Already vulnerable wetlands eroding at a rate of an astronomical, something the size of Manhattan, every 10 to 12 months, were now further vulnerable. This had happened to my home, and I was pissed. And you don't want to piss off an artist. So, I took that anger, grabbed a paintbrush, grabbed some of the tar from the spill, and went to work. This is what I made. Oil paintings with the very tar and oil that washed up on my home. This is an uncommissioned portrait of Tony Hayward, the CEO of BP at the time. It was very therapeutic to smear it all over his face, and in fact, some places it sticks up about an inch. So it felt really good, but after a while, it left me in a bit of a dark place emotionally, only painting those responsible. So I decided to pivot and paint the people that I grew up with, to paint the human face of the oil spill, with their permission, of course. It was important for me to show their stories outside of the stereotypes you often see of Gulf Coast Southerners. This is Louis. He owns a shrimp plant, and his livelihood was in question. This is Alyssa. She's a 12-year-old who lives in the flood-prone area of town. What kind of world are we leaving her? I should mention that many of these, or most of them, are about 5 feet tall or larger. It was important for me to show these people with the dignity that they deserved, while the drips of the tar told a different story. This is Moses, welder in the oil industry, an artist and community organizer. He was a great inspiration to me for the community projects that I developed that I will tell you about shortly. This is Jamie, another community leader and member of the United Homa Nation. Her people's lands sit on some of the most vulnerable wetlands, and in fact, while they are the largest tribe in Louisiana, they are the only tribe that is federally unrecognized. This is because oil industry lobbyists in Washington do not want them to have sovereignty over this land that's so rich in oil and gas. So I showed the work in New York and in Arkansas and some other places, but I wanted to take it to my hometown. I wanted it to be amidst the people who the paintings were of. So with the help of a grant, I shipped the work down to my hometown of Houma, Louisiana, and had an opening, an art opening. And it went okay. People saw the work, they were polite, but it didn't quite have that irreverent sense of fun and celebration that I grew up with and knew so well. So with the help of Jamie and Moses and many other artists, I decided to throw a Louisiana-style oil spill party. There was an oil spill queen who was a representative of the oil industry lording over us, telling us what to do. She's being scowled upon by Siren Swerve the mermaid, who told kid-friendly stories of her and her mermaid friends escaping from the dark, mysterious substance. There was Parrain Vin, Cajun humorist and satirist. It's really out of season, but I'd like to play you one of my favorite excerpts from one of his songs that doesn't deal with the oil spill, but hurricanes. Close enough. You better stock up and get some supplies. The levee just broke, now the water's real high. A hurricane is coming tonight. A hurricane is coming tonight. That sense of irreverent fun and celebration was continued with Spillmo, a physical manifestation of the oil spill. Kids and adults alike got to beat him with a stick. Residents were encouraged to write letters to their future home. What did they want to tell people about the environment, about a healthy place to live? And then Jamie, who I mentioned earlier, is in the middle, featured in the middle. She finished off the event with a friendship dance, a symbol of tribal unity that she extended to us. It made me really happy that I got to be a small part of organizing something that Louisianians do so well, which is to take a difficult situation and turn it into a party. In fact, people there were from all different backgrounds and political persuasions, but we were all united under the banner of clean water and the love of the arts. And then I came back to my home in Brooklyn. I wanted to see if this type of celebration could work here too. And unfortunately, I got the opportunity. My wife and I were evicted last year because the landlord wanted to charge 7 or 8 times the amount of money. That's an actual figure. So while we fought it, it became clear at some point that we weren't going to win. And we decided to throw an eviction party, complete with games, gumbo, and live music. A few weeks later, I got to take part in a Louisiana-style second line or jazz funeral for the death of affordable housing in Brooklyn. That's me playing trumpet down Atlantic Avenue. So what now in this political climate? Can the act of celebration become an act of resistance? It seems like now, more than ever, this is needed. And I'm not suggesting that we gloss over trauma that needs to be processed or not speak out forcefully against the injustices that are currently going on. But my thinking is, and taking a cue from Louisiana, why not make it fun? Fun can make struggle sustainable. Celebration can interrupt the parts of our brain that are in pain and open the doors for healing. I believe that communities, with the resources they currently have, can become powerful agents for change. And that celebration can open up the doors for human connection and lead us away from fear. These creative, collaborative communities will be happier, healthier, and in better shape to affect their change. If art can be made with tar, and residents of Louisiana can have fun with death, hurricanes, and oil spills, what could we have fun with? Climate change? Racism? Sexism? Corrupt presidential administrations? What if we were to add this tool to our toolkit? What could we accomplish? How could we turn our harms into harmonies? Thank you.